On to you, Aries. So you Aries actually have the eight of Raphael, the moon, and then you have the king of Ariel. So okay, that's interesting. If you Aries were with anyone recently, this was short-lived. This wasn't very long. This might have been a couple of days where like you and this person may have had something really short lived. um you had a connection with them and they quickly ruined their connection. They turned a lot of you Aries off with how it is that they were moving. And so, once you started to observe how they've been moving, you Aries was like, nah, you're not really feeling them. The reason why is because the eight of Raphael, which is evidence that you basically you left them alone. The moon card and the king of Ariel. The moon card is you ghosting, excommunicating them. The king of Ariel is them, but not just them, but how difficult they were to be with, because maybe they're overconfident, and you don't want to be with someone who's overconfident, but then they really don't have a plan. They just seem to be in competition with everybody, trying to prove that they're an alpha. Yeah, the 10 of Gabriel, you're fine from that because you got out in time. You didn't wait until they started to show you real issues, right? Signs that terrible things were coming. You Aries got out long before, this started to happen, because you Aries basically you paid attention to the early signs. They like I said, they may have been overly confident. Maybe they weren't urgent enough. A lot of the times, part of the reason why these relationships don't be working, even though there's a chance that it could, is because there's not enough urgency. You be having people that, it's not enough urgency. A person thinking that they have all the time in the world, and it's like no one does. And that really is one of the main points of dating. It don't matter what you into, it don't matter who you are. Go for what you're looking for. Nobody is I don't care how fine you are, because there's a lot of fine both men and women who are single, can't even keep a relationship now. So this is evidence as to what I'm saying. Fine don't matter. Go for what you're looking for. There's no exceptions to that. Go for what you're looking for. Everybody go for what you're looking for, because it don't matter how fine you think you are. It don't matter how, oh, I got time. You no, you don't. No one has time, and there's not enough urgency. So maybe this person wasn't urgent enough. Maybe, this person was overly confident. Maybe this person didn't give you a call back. You know, you Aries aren't going to sit around and wait for them to call you. You Aries aren't going to sit around and wait for them to call you. Maybe they told you that they were going to call you, and on this day, and they didn't call you. And so you Aries are like, well, time to move forward. 10 of Raphael, you have enough. You have a life, you have enough. You're abundant. And that be the thing that a lot of the times people don't expect you to be. That's one of the things that really reveal a person's problems and issues, is when you're not looking to get to know them based upon only their body. Let you be an Aries with internal joy because you're not in competition with other people, you're in competition with yourself. So you like to you the stuff that you got it out of the mud. You got it out of the worst possible situation, and you did it for yourself. And you did it the correct way. Let you do that, right? And then you have an abundant type of mindset where you don't get to know people to use them. That be, oh wow, oh wow. Some of y'all ain't gonna understand what I just said. A lot of you probably will. That's very powerful what I just gave you, because the reason why is because you see where other people's mentality is. They think that you on that type of time, so they'll project that onto you. And but again, when you're not competing with other people, you look at it and you get a chance to see how wild they really are, because you get a chance to see how wild, excuse me, they really are. Because them projecting this stuff on you, you Aries will really get a chance to see that they're cuckoo, because that wouldn't even be you. So they are projecting because that's not what you are about. And so why that's important is because of the page of Gabriel, right? Right? You Aries don't know who they think you are or what kind of story they're telling themselves. But whatever it is that they think that they're telling you, or they think that they're projecting about you, or whatever story they're making up with in their head, they don't know the first thing about you. And this is why it's their loss. One of the reasons why it's their loss, not yours. So the 5 of Gabriel and the 4 of Gabriel, right? And that, so like I said, there's a sense, there's you moving forward. Okay, these are people that are just not the people that are right for you. So the 4 of Michael right here is about how either way, you Aries are not worried about it. And the reason why is because they're not your type. And what I mean when I say that they're not your type, I'm referring to not it's nothing is wrong with them physically per se. They're not your type as far as character is concerned. They're not your type. You know, you Aries don't like people that don't follow with their words and is inconsistent. Everybody want to have somebody that's exciting. And it's like, but why is it that a lot of people equate excitement with gangsterism though? Being for the streets or being street. It's like, listen, let me explain something to you from personal experience. That street life ain't it. I'm not saying I've been in the streets. Let's just say a lot of the people who I grew up with, they ain't here because they got themselves into the streets in the worst way possible. Because they thought they could make a lot of money and it's exciting. Let me tell you something about them streets. Them streets ain't worth it. So this is why I find it to be corny, because whoever this person was, if they were trying to be exciting based upon like being like street or being for the streets, I'm glad you Aries decided to not really take them too seriously, because I'm telling you from personal, listen, there's a lot of stuff that I don't say on YouTube. And it's not that it will get me investigated by the cops. I have nothing to do with these things. It's just that I just, you know what I'm saying? It's just that I don't want to celebrate those types of things, you know? I don't want to celebrate those types of things. Like, long story short, like for instance, used to went to school with this kid, knew him from first grade. This made the news. Knew him from first grade in New York City. This made the news. you know, he liked to talk. He liked to tell. He liked to tell. And excuse me. I remember my mother had asked me to go to the store to get her a candle, and I was like, all right. Saw him, with his shorty or whatever. I'm like 12 years old. I'm like 11 going to 12 years old at the time. Uh, anyway, or like 12 going to 13 at the time. One of those two. I think it was like 11 going to 12. Anyway, about a week later, I go back to the store. Literally a week later, I go back to the same store to pick up a candle for my mom again. Oh boy, the same dude's picture is on a wanted list, not a wanted, on a missing persons list, or like his face on a missing persons poster. You know what happened? Years later. This was years later. This is 2012. This is like 2012, 2013. Found dude body in the Hudson River. So this stuff, exciting stuff, all this stuff, that ain't it. Trust me, that ain't it. That ain't it. That ain't the move. Trust me, that ain't it. You feel me? And what was he doing? He was telling. He got himself into that kind of world, and trying to sell what he could sell. I'm not gonna get too deeply into that, but I'm using this to paint a picture. The picture that I'm painting is, you Aries are so right to get away from this lame-o, because no matter what excuse that this person is telling themselves to move like that with you, what would have probably worked with you is if this person was authentic, and if this person was just real about their disposition. Regardless of if he got you or not is irrelevant. The respect would have still been there. But him or her being wanting to be for the streets, or wanting to put on like a street persona, or wanting to put on a persona like they were too cool for school, it's all lame. That's why it is that I never got into the streets. I never got into that stuff. I was never so deep into that kind of world to the point where I'm caught up in some nonsense. It's just that the people that I happen to be around, I would later come to find out about them. You feel me? Some of, you know what I mean? So stuff like that, I ain't gonna get too deeply into it. But the point that I'm trying to make here is, I was never a part of that stuff. I was never a part of that. But I know, I know enough, thankfully. I know enough to know to stay away from it, but not enough to not know what be going on, because I never got into that lifestyle. It just never happened like that. I always rolled by myself ever since I was little, and I'm still rolling by myself in my 30s. So the 6 of Raphael and the 9 of Gabriel right here represents how a lot of you, so this person has came back, but this is exactly my point. This person would have got a lot better results if they would have just kept it real from the very beginning. But look at how this goofy goober has to be. This person, like a wet smacked behind, has to come back. I'm sorry, Aries, but you Aries was willing before. So why did they have to come back now? They got to come back because they know they made themselves look stupid, and they know that they were fronting. Here's some more game for you, Aries. The majority of people that probably turned you down, they probably don't even have a significant other. You'd be surprised at how many people out here are single. So let's clarify the Nine of Gabriel. You have the Queen of Wands, Five of Swords, the Moon card, the Emperor, and then you have the Ace of Wands. So again, right, to clarify the Nine of Gabriel, right, the Queen of Wands, Five of Swords, the Moon card, these three cards right here are all about how, you know, you Aries, you know, they really feel stupid. They really felt stupid because you're the best person that they spoke to in a long time. A lot of the other people that they were rocking with has been for the streets. So it's just really been like short-term connections. No real anything. You feel what I'm saying? Nothing real sustainable and real. And so you Aries being top notch and, you know, pristine and stuff like this, yeah, you know, you intimidate them because you're the best thing you're the best person that they approach in a long time or ever. So the whole street stuff, the whole trying to act like they too cool for school, oh man, that ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work. You feel me? And that's nothing to be proud of because I I never wanted to be a part of the streets, and I'm thankful that I never wanted to be a part of the streets. I never got in the streets, so you know what I'm saying? It's just that so many people want to be for this street stuff. It's like, dang, everybody's just seemed to be. I come from that kind of background, but thankfully I was never a part of that. You feel me? What made me different, Aries? I'm just a lot more. Let's just say I'm a lot more street smart than the average cat. You know what I'm saying? And I just soak up game, and I know that that type of life only leads to one or two things: jail or the graveyard. I'm not with either or. I'm not with either. I ain't with it. I'm serious. I'm serious. I ain't with either. So the Emperor and the Ace of Wands, this is where it is that you can end up playing games, right? Trying to put on a persona that ain't even really you. Get a little bit too wild, the next thing you know. And so the same situation here with you, Aries, right? It's the overall reading of this is about how you, Aries, basically you dealt with someone who had to put on a whole new persona to be someone who they really not to step to you. And they didn't anticipate the fact that you, Aries, ain't going for it in the first place. So they tried some things with you that would have normally worked with people who were for the streets, and then it didn't work for you. So now they steadily trying to figure out why is it that this works with them, but it doesn't work with you. And the reason for that is because a lot of you Aries are probably lions. So you're not going to move to that. It's like, oh, okay, it is what it is. You're not going to flinch to that. So that's pretty much it. Comment on the video, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, share the video. Thank you, Aries. Come through and get some more readings from me. It definitely helps, and it will also help you as well if you need any kind of help with anything. Peace. And yes, I do cybersecurity, okay? So basically what it's about is about just protecting your computer or your cell phones, making sure that y'all don't catch like anything and stuff like this, because you know you got to be very careful about this stuff, you know, but about these electronics. But thank you. Peace. Come through. No one has come through so far for that, but come through.